9 on WBEZ.
It's like the nasty surprise of checking your credit score and finding it low, only the score is for the biggest economy in the world.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by the Glassdoor app, where professionals share advice and talk about work and life anonymously. Conversations are happening within companies and in thousands of communities on the new Glassdoor app. And by Grammarly, offering Grammarly Business to help companies large and small communicate better and move faster with enterprise-grade generative artificial intelligence. Learn more at grammarly.com/business.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. The Fitch credit rating agency has been reviewing the credit rating of the United States of America, and the results are now in a downgrade by one step. It's because of mounting debt and the way Washington works. This could cost taxpayers more when the government borrows. Marketplace's Nova Safo has that.
The decision by Fitch surprised the Biden administration and Wall Street analysts, since the latest debt ceiling standoff is 2 months behind us. But the problem, Fitch said, is that it was the latest debt ceiling standoff, likely not the last. Meanwhile, the debt burdens of federal, state, and local governments continue to rise. Downgrading the U.S. from AAA status to AA+ might raise borrowing costs for the Treasury Department, which issues U.S. government bonds. It might, or it might not, since it's already happened before. During the Obama administration in 2011, Standard & Poor's was the first to downgrade U.S. debt because of a debt ceiling standoff then. At that point, U.S. borrowing costs did rise by an estimated $1.3 billion. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
The benchmark interest rate, the yield on the U.S. 10-year note, is back above 4% this morning, 4.05. S&P futures are down 0.6%, and a private sector payroll company, ADP, finds the number of people getting paychecks grew by 324,000 in the month just ended. That is higher than expected. The official report is due on Friday. Now, some companies project the vibe they're making the world a better place. This social impact framing, as it's called, can attract customers and job applicants, but new data show working for a do-gooder company can mean less pay. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman has that.
Here are some common keywords in job postings these days.
Mission, impact, making the world a better place.
Insia Hussain teaches management at UT Austin. She says this kind of we benefit humanity messaging makes prospective employees 30% less likely to negotiate starting salary.
There's this sort of widespread cultural norm that money might taint attempts to do good, making employees feel it would be crass or greedy or inappropriate to ask for a higher pay.
Annette Farrell knows this. She's a paraeducator for autistic students in Portland, Oregon, making $23 an hour.
I worked in nonprofits when I was younger, and I didn't feel empowered to ask for a raise.
Insia Hussain's research finds that employees are just as hesitant to ask for higher pay from for-profit employers that promote their higher purpose. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by C3 AI. C3 Generative AI provides ChatGPT enterprise search that is verifiable, secure, and accurate across all enterprise data. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI.
This week, the Marketplace Morning team is looking at multiple forces, especially economic forces, shaping migration. Today, the dangers of smuggling people as a side gig. Social media and messaging platforms like Facebook and TikTok are increasingly being used to recruit teenage Americans to help people cross into the U.S. illegally, as well as other kinds of smuggling. Craig Larrabee is Special Agent in Charge at Homeland Security Investigations San Antonio. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm trying to understand this. Is it like an informal gig economy thing? People using social media are being offered money to provide what kind of illegal service?
Well, there's all kinds of things that happen, obviously, on social media. The one that we're concerned about recently, really here, is the use of social media to recruit young kids, high school age, to do human smuggling, particularly picking up migrants in different parts of the South Texas and bringing them to other locations. What we've seen is that recruitment going through social media goes to a lot of our larger cities. Historically, the recruitment was local. Now, social media expands that ability to recruit
So a teenager could be on, say, TikTok or Snapchat, and it'll say you want to make some easy money or something?
Whatever particular social media there is, yes. Now they're being recruited, quick money, come down here, pick up some folks, drive them somewhere else, and collect thousands of dollars. Now, the problem with that is they're going into locations, particularly along our border, which are rural, which are ranches. They're being told to evade law enforcement, so it's very dangerous situations.
See, I was thinking you're going to tell me something like they're looking for truck drivers with commercial licenses and straight trucks with no windows. This is just teenagers with a car.
Correct. Now, people, once they're smuggled across the river, they're put in stash houses where they wait for a period of time, and then they're usually or historically moved into tractor trailers. So that's when you're talking about the recruitment of the tractor trailer drivers. Now, those are CDL drivers are going to drive the vehicles and try to bypass checkpoints in the tractor trailer. Obviously, one of the most dangerous situations we can have, particularly in South Texas with the heat here. Now, if we're talking about Eagle Pass and Del Rio, those are usually smaller vehicles, maybe box trucks, but a lot of small cars. Normally, that should be 3 or 4 people in a car, but trust me, they get a lot more in some of those cars because they'll pay per each migrant. So they want to maximize those profits.
So what are approaches, policy approaches for dealing with this?
From an HSI, we're the criminal investigator side of things. So we investigate the organizations behind it. What we've seen is, continue to do those investigations, try to take out the organizations at a larger scale. That's our primary focus. But we'd be amiss if we're not doing what we're doing here today. And we actually have social media campaigns that we're trying to push out to our local schools. We're going to work towards driving schools, things like that, where we can get this information out. Because again, teenagers think they're invincible. They think nothing's ever going to happen to them. But time and time again, we can show them examples of when things do not go well.
Craig Larrabee, investigator with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for letting me speak to this issue.
Today, we're also looking at the business of keeping tabs on immigrants, surveillance, stories and interviews in our series, Barriers to Entry, the Cost of Crossing the Southern Border, are accumulating online on our homepage. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.